So Portfolio 2 class, and today we're going to be prepping our images, a final selection of images for print. So this is part 2 of the assignment, and at this stage should have a finalized set of images that are renumbered correctly without any duplicates of the images that are almost the same, and I've been very clear in the specifications. If you have two portraits of the same person, if there is something significantly different about them, then maybe they'll be okay. But if they're almost the same or a variation on the theme, in this portfolio, really they need to be swapped out for another image. We also need to have a good range of images represented, different specialty areas. So portraits, great, we want to see that. And if that's your thing, I don't mind seeing more portraits, but we do need to have a range of other things represented: commercial, food, architecture, and maybe nature, wildlife images as well. In terms of preparing the images, they need to be cropped as the image dictates, and I'll do a demo in a moment, so hopefully that'll be clear. But I think most often the image itself is going to dictate how it needs to be cropped, and we're not going to be locked into any specific aspect ratio that means that we have to crop it for that particular dimension. We're going to resize the images, longest edge 12 inches at 300 ppi. They need to be sharpened. We're going to use the unsharp mask, the settings 80, 2 and 2 as a start point or a baseline. It's not over the top, but it's a good place to start. And for some images, you could increase those numbers, certainly the first number. They need to be color corrected as required, and if we're going to do black and white conversions, they need to be done. And the last thing, the key line needs to be put on, but we'll do that as a last thing because I don't want to sharpen an image or make any other adjustments to it, because that will have an impact on that key line. And really we want the key line to be consistent throughout the whole set. Most assignments, I'm saying, deliver just contact sheets and one image. But this one, I want the contact sheets, so 2 contact sheets with 12 images on. Don't give me 4 or 6 contact sheets, please. Just 2 contact sheets with 12 up. And then all of the images resized to be delivered into Blackboard on this one occasion. And I might need those to check that they're correctly ready to print. They may not be absolutely perfect, but they need to be pretty close, and the color needs to be close. The density, contrast levels need to be pretty close so that we can go straight to print. So let me see, I'm going to use some images here, excuse me there. Peter Adams, this was his portfolio selection at this stage in the program, and there are more images in this folder than would be allowed, but I'm going to make a couple of adjustments to some of these images to show you the kind of thing that we need to be looking at. But, you know, great photographer, great images, and that's where we started. He had a good range of images, different styles of work in here as well. But let's go back to the top here. Great family portrait, but we got a problem with the white balance here. And a part of that, if it's taken in the woods like this one is, there's a green color cast that comes down through the trees. Getting away from the being completely under the canopy of the trees is one easy fix to this, so that you have some fresh daylight coming in and hitting the subject. But because of that green cast, it might not be possible to get this image perfect. But Mum's dress here is white, and so that is a pretty good reference point. I can open the image in Camera Raw, use the eyedropper tool, white balance tool here, and if I put that onto the dress here, or you know, if it's on another part which is a neutral tone, that's not, but I think the dress is pretty good. It brings the color up pretty well. So getting the color right is going to be an important thing. If you've got images that are of documentary style, you might want to consider converting them into black and white. And well, here's an example of an image that I think could nicely be cropped. I'm not sure exactly how Peter did this in the end, and it's not badly cropped right now, but I must say I do like that wall going off into the distance. Of course, cropping with a documentary style image is tricky because we don't want to distort the reality of the situation. And I certainly don't want to do that, and don't believe that by cropping the image like this, that will be the case. Looking out for tension points, that car in the background there on the right, I think needs to be in. The shadow of the boy's foot on the wall in the bottom right needs to be there. So cropping the image, and then looking at a black and white conversion. The black and white tool will be the go-to here because it gives us the option of the sliders. And if I think about the red, we can lighten up his face just a little bit. The sky, I can bring that down just a touch. And I think a black and white conversion on this image can look pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go back to the assignment sheet if I can find that correctly. We've got our list of things here. Cropped, resized is the next thing, and then sharpened. So let's resize the image. This helps if I'm on the right program there. Longest edge is going to be 12 inches at 300 ppi. Whoops, that's not good because I didn't lock in the aspect ratio, and I will not accept images that have been stretched for this level of work. And in fact, it's very, very rare that there's, to my mind, an acceptable reason why you would stretch an image. Okay, it's been resized. Next, we're going to go to our sharpening. So on the drop-down menus, filter, sharpen, unsharp mask is our go-to, and the default or start point 80, 2, and 2. 80 is the amount, 2 is the radius, 2 is the threshold. You may increase these just a little bit. You may want to increase this significantly, and there are certainly times when, you know, taking up to 120 or 100 are perfectly acceptable. 80 is my kind of conservative. It makes a difference, but it's not going to be really deeply significant. All right, so I've done my sharpening, and then I'm going to put a key line on, and I'd like the key lines to be consistent throughout for this particular portfolio. Marching ants using the rectangular marquee tool first of all, and then edit, stroke, and this should be fairly familiar to you now. For this size output, I'm saying 10 pixels, and the colors can be either a dark gray or a black, and you know, I'll go for a dark gray on this one, but I would like these to be consistent throughout the whole portfolio. So whatever you do, make sure that you do it for the whole portfolio. Once this is done, you can save it, and actually I've copied this set of images into a new folder that I've called Print Ready, and because of that I can just exit out and save it, and it should be ready to go. We're going to save these at maximum quality at 12, and incidentally, you really shouldn't be saving your JPEGs at anything less than 10 on any occasion at all. All right, let's go back to our selection. We've got a few more minutes here. Another example of an image that I think the image itself can dictate the kind of cropping that would really work for it. And beautiful photograph. I love this image. But with the light shining out into space, I kind of feel like there's a lot of black space over here, and I'd like to see that space over there emphasized just a little bit. So I think my preferred crop will be something like this, and yeah, maybe even a little bit more over there. Crop. Remember the stages that we're going to go through. We're going to do image size, 12 inches maximum length. On an image like this, actually I'm not going to worry about the sharpening on this kind of silhouette or nighttime image, but on most of your images, sharpening is going to be appropriate. And then the key line, marquee tool, rectangular marquee tool, and once you've got it set into the edit settings, it will be the same box coming up each time, so I can just hit OK. And now I've got a key line barely visible on this image, but it will be visible when it's on the page. Okay, so you can see that the edge is there. I can just exit out. You can see these pictures were not numbered correctly. I do want to have your images numbered correctly in the folder 01, 02, 03, and so on, so that we can see the final result. Final result being the final order that they're going to be in. An image like this, again, white balance is out. Beautiful shot. I think this is grandmother. And I love this photograph, taken in the kitchen. Genuine, authentic, but the white balance is not correct here. And, you know, we should be able to find something that's neutral tone on the fridge maybe here that we can correct the white balance on. These two images, if you've got two images side by side as you open up the pages of your portfolio, and you're thinking one would work well in black and white, ideally both in black and white would be my kind of go-to. And this shot here, I love this, but I really think that a black and white rendition would work a whole lot better for it. And again, we can adjust the tonality. For me, that pink and peach color are not particularly attractive, and I'm looking at those colors rather than the baby. And I'd much rather look at the baby and have that as the main focus in that particular image. And so if I was doing that, I was going to have this image on the facing page, I'd want that one to be in black and white too. And actually, I think that image would work well in black and white. Now that we've been doing our color assignments, we can see that actually color photography, when it's really done in a considered way, can look fantastic. But if the color's just a little bit random, it can sometimes get in the way of the main subject. And, you know, I look at a shot like this and I think the black and white rendition works really, really well, and it's really beautiful. All right, so I think I've gone through the main stages. In terms of the way that these pictures will print, then once they've got the key line on, just save them with the key line, and then when you do print them, it'll be onto 8.5 by 11 paper, and you'll be able to just check the box that says resize to fit the page, and it should give you a good size border around the image and the key line itself around the image. When they do print, these ones will need to be printed with a white border. I don't want you to have thick black borders on this portfolio. 8.5 by 11 will be the output size ultimately, but in terms of the resizing for the purposes of this, 12 inches is where we're going to. If you have two images that are almost the same, in this portfolio, I want you to choose which one to go for. In this one, I think this would be my winner, but I really like the simplicity of this shot. And although it's really, really simple, this photograph is really well done. The grading, lighter going to dark, so that we can see helping hands here, works really, really well. The way that the reflection is faded out on that white background there. But this shot would be the winner for the portfolio. These may be some hard decisions that need to be made, but they definitely have to be made. Okay, I think that's it. You've got the assignment sheet that tells you the things that need to be adjusted, and we need to get that set of images. The deadline is the 25th, but get to it and get as much of this done today, and contact sheets, and on this one occasion, all of the full res, high res images.